Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta for our coffee chat. Of course, my name is Bryce. I'm here with one of my besties, Catherine Edwards from across the pond. How are you doing today, Catherine?
I'm so hot. Yeah, how many times have you heard us saying in England how hot and sunny it is? It is. So there we go. And it's not global warming. I hate to break it to you, it's not global. But I'm great. I'm really good this week. Thank you.
It's summer. It's just,
Summer. It's summer, but spoiler alert.
it's
Yeah. They
summer.
haven't blocked out the whole sun yet here.
Uh, and that's what we're
Yeah.
going to talk about today, Catherine. And we were going to do a show today about, with a guest about a new law that's trying to be passed here in the United States regarding Gypsy Rose Blanchard, but that's having to be postponed. So I think this is kind of and then I text you, Catherine, to talk about this because I have been totally invested into this story over on TikTok about this KENDRA girl who fell in love with her psychiatrist. And it's so obvious, it's blowing up on TikTok. It's so obvious that she's in psychosis.
Wow.
And so, and I think that's why everybody's invested because it's just so obvious that what's happening is not what she perceives. It's just obvious. And so
Yeah.
that got me really looking into psychosis. And I realized, for 4 years, Catherine, you and I have been screaming bloody murder at the screen, telling people in the truth or disclosure world to wake up, that you are so fast asleep, it's not even funny. And I didn't have the vocabulary to put it. And I realized that the community you and I used to be in, what we ran from was their psychosis.
Yeah. That is such a good point, and it is so true. And I think was really pleased when you suggested this date because I think this is so important because it's part of the whole evil genius plan. It just is absolutely part of it. And whatever stage you realize that and you realize, oh my God, I've got to run away fast from this too, do run.
It's a mental illness when you
Yeah,
get into psychosis. And so that's where we get the word psychotic. And basically, this is a form of a delusional disorder. So something happens to trigger delusions. And when people are deep into their delusions, it's hard to convince them that what they're seeing isn't real. What they're
yeah,
believing isn't real. So before we get into Catherine, I just want to, for our audience, I know most people are aware of psychosis, but I just wanted to give the general definition. Psychosis is a mental health condition where there's a loss of contact with reality. It involves experiencing hallucinations, seeing or hearing things that aren't there, and delusions, false and fixed belief. Psychosis can be a symptom of various mental illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar, and severe depression, or it can be triggered by substance abuse or trauma. I think a lot of people in the truth world, if I can generalize it, probably comes from depression, that they
yeah,
latched on to a savior and now it's hard for them to be convinced that they've been hoodwinked. Loss of contact with reality. This is the core feature of psychosis where individuals struggle to distinguish between what is real and what is not. I don't know if many people, with the hallucinations, especially in like the truther community or disclosure community, I don't know if people are seeing things, hallucinating, or if they're making stories out of things that aren't story worthy, if that makes sense.
well, that's exactly what I think. I think the hallucination type tendencies in the truther world are instead of like the classic auditory visual hallucinations that most people sort of understand what they are, it's more of a cognitive hallucination. So they're
Yeah.
seeing passages, codes, or messages in events that may not actually be there. And of course, this can happen on both sides. And when I'm talking
Yes.
about both sides, but even the thought of the sides, the V'd jabbed in the arms and the not V'd, it's all this divide and conquer. But this is the problem: is we people can recognize a lot of these delusions and psychoses in other people, but very often not in themselves. And so all the while they're so focusing on the fact that everyone that did make a different decision that they have or follows a different person, that they're the mad ones, they're not noticing how far down that path of delusion they are themselves.
100%. And we'll get, because there's different variants of delusions.
Mm,
And you guys, obviously most people know what this is, but I wanted to pull that up just to kind of give guys clarity. We've all been subject to delusions at some point in our life. Every human
absolutely.
being. It's a sliding scale. The most common, I said this in a previous video, but the most common is like love is blind, right? When you
Mm,
fall in love with somebody, you might not notice the red flags, or you might excuse the red flags. And then you look back after you're out of that situation, you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? When people say,
yeah.
what was I thinking? You were in delusion, rose color glasses, all that kind of thing. Another, when we talk about I love that, the cognitive like you're talking about hallucinations. I wore this shirt on purpose today, guys, because of this. This is an old vintage t-shirt from AYA. It's like 10 years old.
Mm.
It means nothing. It's just a t-shirt. That's all it is. It's a t-shirt for yoga studio. That's all it is.
Oh, no, 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 no. You're a Mason. You're
Exactly.
you're a 13th level Freemason. It can be no other explanation, Bryce, and you're obviously controlled opposition.
Yes, we see, and then the actual controlled opposition where there's
Yeah.
actual factual evidence, people just love is blind.
Oh, so
No, they don't see it.
love is blind. And how often do we see this with the savior complex? And I
Yep.
heard a really interesting Greg Braden video that I'm only halfway through at the moment. And he was sort of explaining the savior complex and that gene very, very well. And I think this is the thing, it's understandable. When we're saying this, we're sort of laughing with you, not at you, because we've all experienced some degree of this. But there's certain reasons why the human mind is programmed to work like this that can be survival things. But of course, this can be so used to manipulate us by the dark side.
And it can be dangerous too. It can cause a lot
Very
of harm.
dangerous.
I pulled this out as well. This was a long time ago, maybe like a year ago, Catherine. I think I was wearing it. My oldest niece was learning how to make bracelets. She is 11 years old now. She's probably like 9 or 10 when she made this for me. And she was so excited and she wanted to make me a bracelet. And she asked me what colors I wanted and I told her she could pick. She could pick the bracelets and she made this. She was so proud, so I'd wear it. I wore it to teach because she was so proud of it. And I was so disgusted, Catherine. Absolutely just disgusted. Like these people should absolutely be ashamed of themselves. I wore it one day on a show and I had people in the comment section claiming that this bracelet that my niece, my 11-year-old niece, made for me was a bracelet supporting transgender ideology.
It's so ridiculous. I mean, we should write a little book about all the things that people have said about us. Do you remember when I used to have my incense sticks burning and people would say, oh, she's got dark spirits across her? No, it's my incense.
It's incense. But I mean, shame of people.
Yeah, it is, and these are funny examples that we can
Yeah.
laugh at, but actually there's some really, really serious examples going on right here, right now, where, so many people in this truth space, it's just such a brilliant plan, this they and just throwing, we criticize other people for throwing labels like or something at us, and then we'll throw controlled opposition at anyone who doesn't agree with our point of view. So instead of thinking, right, I need to listen to different things to make sure I'm not falling into a cult, that I'm not going into a psychosis and just seeing patterns that aren't there. They're not. They will double down and start to sort of call people controlled opposition, which is that's no different than calling people a conspiracy theorist, and we all know
Yeah.
where that came from. And when you fall into these traps, that should be a big sort of slap round the face, wake up call to you that, oh, hang on a minute, I'm falling too deep. Let me take a step back and reassess where I'm at and who's telling me this information.
Oh, absolutely. It's in that's it seems like with this psychosis, whatever it is, and there's psychosis in every community, guys. We even have AI psychosis that's appearing now where people are falling in love with their chat GPTs. Like it's so
And they're not just falling in love with it, they're getting their chat GTPs or equivalent, whichever equivalent people are using, to read about their past lives and their Akashic record and what their purpose are. I mean, can you believe that people, and then they're sort of sending it into people and saying, look, I mean, you and I laughed about this when everyone went through this whole stage in the Truth movement of talking about their past lives and how they were all connecting together. Well, no one was a sewage worker. Everyone was King Solomon or someone, and
yes.
most of the people that they were really evil anyway, and they didn't realize, which was even funnier. But everyone was a king or the most important person in the world back there. No one was a street cleaner.
And how many Cleopatras are there? I swear, like
Oh,
every freaking
everyone's
Caesar was
Cleopatra.
Cleopatra. I'm like, this is so delusional. Like, it is delusional. As somebody who actually does believe in past lives,
Yep.
you should not be focused on that right now. You should be focusing on your life right now. The life that you're in now. That's what you're living right now. That one's done. And it's
Yeah.
absolutely bananas. I was telling you, like, I had somebody write a whole essay, a diatribe, a thesis in one of my comments one day because I filmed an episode with a scrunchie around my wrist. This is a
Well,
hair
I
tie.
know what that means. I mean, you're part of the Epstein clan,
I'm
obviously.
saying
There's no other explanation for it at all.
is
Yeah.
I should have, you know what I should have done, Catherine? I should have put a pineapple on the screen because
Oh, exactly.
know.
Or pizza. We should have been sitting here eating pizza, obviously. And the thing is, we're not that some of these things are really serious issues, but also you've got to look at the delusion. You can arrange to meet someone at your local pizza restaurant without being part of the pizza parties. And
Exactly.
also, when you're looking for this random proof, like people will still, not everything has to be good or bad about a person. So look, Operation Warp Speed was pushing out the jibby jabbies on everyone, and people will still say, "Oh no, that was 5D chess. That was this." You have to understand this. When it's like it's a lie when you have to work so hard to try and convince yourself how this could possibly make sense.
It's mental gymnastics. That's what I call it,
Yeah.
mental gymnastics. And you're right, Catherine. That's what I think. I've noticed a lot with these delusionals. It is black and white thinking. We've forgotten the nuance that not one person is all good and not one person is all bad. We have shades of gray. And even for the law of one to ascend positive, you only have to be 51% service to others. So you've got a huge
Mm.
leeway of messing up, right? And so, the delusions too, people think that all the bad guys have been arrested.
Oh, and literally do. And how many times has this happened? And how many times is it going to be, what is it, Red September or whatever? The same things we've been listening to for years coming out to go, oh, they're erecting barricades, they're gallows, they're erecting them to, oh no, they're keeping them in, doing this. And it's like, my gosh, how many fairy tales, when are you going to wake up? It's like, oh, I'm not going to introduce the CBDC, the central bank digital currencies, but I'm going to introduce my own crypto coin. You can all buy that, and I'll control that, and just all pull you in like that. And you've only got to look about, actions speak louder than words. So some people are beautiful wordsmiths and
Yes.
they can be beautifully convincing. And some people, in fact, most of our politicians are actually actors.
Mhm.
It's amazing how many of them have been through drama school. So, in terms of we can all be fooled by words, but we can't be fooled by actions. That's why when you're teaching your dog to sit, it's not understanding the word sit, it's understanding the energy and the
Yeah.
sort of image you're giving it to. And that's why when you meet people in person, you can often find it a lot easier than you do when you're sort of following someone online because it's very easy to, you can't smell them, you can't feel their energy in the same way, which would all in the real world be giving you clues about whether to walk away or not.
It's so funny you're saying that. I've said this before about old school cult leaders.
Yeah,
Like I kind of have, even though they were bad people, you have to have a little bit of respect for them because they pulled off the con in person. It's
exactly.
easier online. This is called what, a parasocial relationship. So you see a person. It's actually funny, Catherine. I was listening to just for our audience to hear. I was because you and I, Catherine, we get so shadow banned because we're obviously not we're not controlled opposition, obviously, because
We
we get.
were, we'd have a lot more views.
I know we would be it would be very different for us. But I was listening to this social media expert like to help us about things to do. And we've literally done everything wrong because we have been so honest with our audience about who we are.
Mm.
Apparently, we're not supposed to tell our audience if we're married or single. We're supposed to remain a mystery when it comes to that, to attract more, to allure more. But in saying that, when it comes to like wordsmiths and people who can pull you in through the parasocial relationship on YouTube or Telegram, there's so much about their lives you're not seeing. And some of these people will obviously, I just learned today, will do things like not necessarily talk about their partner to give you that subconscious idea that you could be their soulmate.
Yeah.
There's this alluring factor, especially for women. And so I think people get in their minds as to who, I mean, we've had it, Catherine. I've had people believe that because I'm on YouTube, we're like YouTube famous, that I'm spending my days on a yacht drinking champagne. When I mean,
You are with your
my
Mason
t-shirt.
with your Freemason friends. I know that they invite you on there all the time. You can't hide it from me,
And my
Bryce.
black scrunchie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm
And your
actually
rainbow cover basic. But in all seriousness, I think in terms of this loss of shared reality, look, David Icke says it the best. You know, once you know the end point, once you know where they're heading, you can see does it match with that or not. It's like if anyone's working through their life plans and their life goals, you know, if you're really clear about what your core values are, then every decision you're looking to take, you can say, does it match my core values or not? And it gives you a good hint as to whether chuck it in the bin or go for it. And if we were to look at a lot of the stories that are going out today about leaders, you know, let's take Trump as an example. Bryce and I have said a million times, you know, that these people are such complex characters in themselves, but also they are playing a game, and we don't know. No one watching this really knows. You might think you really know, but you don't really know. But you can look at the clues, and certainly when I look at who they're surrounding themselves by, how they're behaving, whether they're living up to promises or not. There's so many red flags. I can't think of a single political figure in any of our countries where there aren't huge red flags. I mean, in the UK now, they're looking to call everyone saying, let's have a general election. You're like, well, who are you going to vote in instead? They're all awful, you know.
right.
So I think in the truther market, when we're looking at the psychosis, it's so important to sit down, even if you need to. You know, Kathy O'Brien's explained so brilliantly how important writing things down are. Write down what you're being told. Go for a walk in nature, get your feet on the ground, and then in the other column, write down what you're seeing with your own eyes, what your real life, not your YouTube life, not your online life, what is your real life showing you, and where's the mismatch?
That's such a good point, Catherine. I think too, it's so funny. Like we also, I think people have to look at their self-reflection as well. And as that one article said about, things that can cause psychosis. And I
Mm.
do think for a lot of the truthers that are deeply in psychosis right now, which they're probably not watching this channel if they are,
No, they won't be, yeah.
right? We're preaching to the choir right now, which is probably why we only get like 200 views. So,
Yeah.
but that's okay, right? That's okay. But when we look like you and I have gone through terrible smear campaigns, we have gone through incredible difficulties, just trying to tell the truth, just trying to tell the truth to the truthers and
Mm.
wake them up. And it's caused a lot of backlash. I mean, I never thought that me telling people you need to exercise was going to cause as much backlash as it has. But one thing my boyfriend, here I am going and talking about what I shouldn't be talking about. I'm supposed to apparently give you guys the illusion that Catherine and I are two hot single chicks out for a good time, but we're not.
I look, sorry, I'm just going to be quite happy being I am that mad cat woman. You know, if I could have cats everywhere, I would be more than happy. So yeah, that puts me off the market straight
We're
away.
all married women, basically. Like,
Yeah,
but so oops, when they said that, I was like, well, shit. Catherine and I both messed up. But poor Mark and Todd, they're just gonna have to go into hiding now. Um,
exactly.
but when that started happening, my boyfriend would find these accounts that were like threatening me, and he would go and research these people and just kind of see who they are. And he found a common denominator, especially within the women. And I'm not saying this to be mean, guys. It's just the truth. A lot of the women who were massively smearing me, who don't know me, were creating these stories basically because I told them they needed to exercise and no one was coming to save them. Commonly, a lot of these women were massively overweight. My boyfriend would find like their Facebook page, massively overweight, older, single, divorced, or just single, didn't have
Even
a
older
lot of,
than me.
yeah, oh gosh, yes. Like, well, and I think, age is relative, right? Like, I'm
It is relative,
43.
exactly. That's why I would say you're as old as the man you're feeling.
Yeah.
That'll start some other. But no,
Yeah,
it is true because a bully never, you'll never find a happy bully.
right. And so their own depression. And so
Yeah.
we see people like Catherine and me, and I'm just, we're two women. We take care of ourselves. We take care of our health. We make sure we're presentable when we come on air. We're in long-standing relationships with men. We have family. We have friends. We have some popularity. These are all things. It doesn't mean we're perfect, but these are obviously just looking at these pictures are things that these other women in particular were missing in their lives. And so when they had the chance to try to destroy somebody else that they were jealous of, maybe they jumped on that bandwagon, which if you can self-reflect enough to see your depression, your hurt, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that, right? And so I think a lot of these people who found themselves stuck in this truther ring of fire, we'll call it. That's this junk conspiracy cul-de-sac. It's like maybe these are people, generally speaking, not the same case for everybody, who have had hard lives, who've never been, maybe been the wallflowers, maybe never been that popular, maybe always felt like they were the victim. And so now they can be the savior. Now they can be the special one. And I was saying to my boyfriend, I was like, and I think we've talked about this before, Catherine. We look at the extreme left, and they're obviously suffering psychosis too. Like it's very obvious that they are as well. But so is the truther. They're the woke community and the truthers, one and the
Oh,
same.
it's just completely two sides of the different coin. And I think that's such a good point because, you know, it has been really hard. A lot of people have had a really hard time. Obviously, the pandemic was really, really hard and really isolating for a lot of people, but a different level by design. We all know
Yeah.
that. I don't need to tell anyone listening on here. But I think also, with the, in normal psychosis, the brain is supposedly misfiring, but in the truther space, they're so overexposed to
Mhm.
information that is like dangling a carrot. It's
Yeah.
like putting your favorite fast food, junk food, because who doesn't want to be told that there's a savior coming on a white horse to
Right.
save them? Who doesn't want to be told that it's all going to be okay, you're going to be rich, and you're never going to have to work a day in your life, and everything's going to be cured without you
You're gonna be
having to do
skinny.
anything?
You're just gonna get in a bed and get
This is the
skinny.
whole
Yeah.
point. It's appealing that you dangle this carrot in there to begin with, but it's unfortunately, we're all grown-ups watching this. I don't think there's any children that will be watching these channels. And the thing is, when you're a grown-up, you can accept, I'd love this easy life to be true, but deep down, I know, most people here know Father Christmas isn't real.
Yeah.
Easter Bunny is made up. And if
Tooth
I've just
fairy.
ruined someone,
Yeah.
sorry. But this is the same thing. It's like it's okay to want things to be easier. That's completely normal. But when you're in this community reinforcement, so the problem is about online, is like you made such a great point that in the old days, the old cult leaders had to persuade people in person. Now, anyone can bully anyone online. Anyone can say anything. So you can have someone sitting there like a channel or some sort of divination person sitting there and telling you that this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And really, they're sitting there laughing all the way to the bank
Hmm.
because if you actually if you knew them in person, you'd be able to judge from their own life whether they're walking the talk. So if you're that good at channeling and divination, your life should be pretty well sorted itself. Not
Yeah.
perfect, no one's going to be perfect. It's a bit like if someone's a really good aerobics teacher, they're going to look
Yeah.
fit and healthy. It doesn't matter what age they are, they're going to look fit and healthy. They're going to be able to move in a healthy way. So when it's online, it's all hidden. And then you've got this community reinforcement. And we see that on everyone's channels, not just ours, everyone's channels, where if the first comments are nice, it will start off in a nice. And as soon as one person comes into negative, it's like vultures in there.
Mhm.
And people just project their unhappiness and their frustrations because deep down, people know they've been lied to.
They know, yeah, they just don't want to have to face the fact that they are their own.
Uh,
I was telling you before we signed on, I learned today that the newest, because I don't follow any of the like truthers anymore, because to me they're not
uh,
truthers, they're con artists, they're grifters. And I learned today that the newest thing, well, let's talk about the med bed for a second. Like how for 5 years they've been saying, oh, the med bed's coming, the med bed's coming. Well, unfortunately, when you're in psychosis, you double down. When the
yeah.
dates don't arrive, that's also a sign of a cult leader too, right? And the dangling
By
of
the
the
way, this is June.
gift. I wish I
It's
had
not really water. Yeah.
that. That's the sign of a cult too. The finish line always gets moved, right?
Yeah.
So I was telling you, Catherine, that now the latest thing, which is if you had your senses about you, if these people had their senses about them, they would see right away that this is bullshit. Because the newest message with the med bed is that the people that did not get these get to be first in the med bed.
Oh, it's just awful. Talk about divide and conquer again.
Us
I mean,
versus them. Yes, black and white thinking.
Facebook and how people, one, first and foremost, one, seriously, if any adults are listening, sitting to this and thinking that that could possibly true, that's like saying, there's no good afterlife for someone that doesn't believe in Jesus. Well, what about all the people that have never heard of Jesus? What about all the animals? I haven't asked my cats recently, but last time I did, they didn't, you know. So, in all seriousness, but I think I can understand the emotional insecurity, when everything is so uncertain. And the difference between current times now is in the old days, we didn't know what was going on in
Right.
Gaza. We didn't know all this stuff. Now we're bombarded, but actually we probably know less than ever now because look at the AI stuff. The AI is so clever now. You don't know whether what you're watching. I mean, I get sent so many things every day, which I appreciate people thinking of me to do that. That's really nice. But at least have a look and see whether there's any semblance that you can back this up. Because the things I get sent are so ridiculous. I mean, how many times Hillary's been executed now? I mean, it must be at least 5,000.
She's better than a cat. She's got more than nine
Yeah,
lives, doesn't she? Like, I want to know her secret.
exactly.
Actually,
Yeah.
we do know her. Well, and that's the thing, Catherine. You and I, with these, we were before we started filming. Catherine and I do believe in some pretty woo-woo stuff.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Absolutely, we know what's going on in the world. Absolutely, we believe in extraterrestrial life. Absolutely. But we're also realist in the sense that the most average YouTuber person sitting on YouTube in regular we need to be in reality. We need to be in reality of
Yeah.
what's actually going on in this world.
Like I can go outside, I can go shopping, and I can see that the cost of living in all our countries has gone up massively. I
Mhm.
can see that the health outcomes for most people in all the countries watching here are horrendous.
Yeah,
I've lost count of the amount of dogs and cats and horses that are dying of cancer.
yeah,
RFK Jr. is not stopping the messenger RNA, So you can look at these things and people can say things in a nicer way as possible, but what is the end result of what they're doing? We haven't had the revaluation. Nasara Jasara's never going to happen. The medbeds, if they were here, they'd be bloody well helping the children in need and everything, and they'd be in Gaza now, hopefully, not someone that just decided not to have the jibber jabby and is sitting there having a reasonably comfortable life.
right.
So I think, healthy questioning and understanding that there is absolutely nothing wrong with saying I've been duped. There is nothing wrong with that. There's not a single one amongst us that hasn't been duped multiple times and will continue to be duped. I mean, we have loads of times and we've been very
Yeah,
public about it,
yeah.
and I find it quite amusing. I mean, who wants a perfect Peter? That's never wrong about anything. It's impossible. But equally, you have to know where your weak spots are and why. That's why certain politicians the women will stick up for more than the men because
Yeah.
there's some sort of attraction there. Certain politicians and celebrities the men will stick up for. There's so many different nuances here, and all of us, anyone who's using these social media platforms, whether you think you're using AI or not, you've been using it for years. Ever since the start of Facebook,
Yeah.
it was an operation to know us better than we know ourselves. People would put their photographs on there, their holidays, their comments, everything is tracked. So these systems know us better than we know ourselves, and they know what to put in our feeds to reinforce our biases and to keep us from taking action and doing anything constructive for ourselves.
And that's it. That's it. That's just it. When you say you know the end game, and we've been saying this for 4 years, Catherine, how clever are the bad guys? How clever are
They're
they?
just brilliant. They
They're
are
brilliant.
evil genius.
They put people in the truth. They're in control. You guys,
Yeah.
just to be clear, the bad guys, the establishment, whatever you want to call them, the Illuma Schmati, for YouTube's sake, they are in control of the truth of world. They're puppeting the truther community just like they're puppeting the normies. And if you want to sit back for a moment and observe the similarities between the behaviors of the woke left and the truther community, it's pretty alarming. So they've gotten everybody shuffled into the same little barn, the left over here, the right over here, same barn, to then turn the gas on.
Completely. And what I would like to say to people, because we've been through this, look, we've been there,
Yeah.
done, got the t-shirt. She's got her Masonic t-shirt. It's just so funny. It makes
It's
me
so
laugh.
comfortable, you
I
guys.
can't wait to see what everyone thinks this is all about. So I just can't wait. But in all seriousness, I think I've forgotten what I was going to say now because I was laughing so much. Oh, what I was going to say. So my daughter said something really interesting when we were driving through a town centre today. We're both reading this book. I can't remember the name of it, but there's fairies in it, and you can put a glimmer where you don't see the real things. Things are hidden from you. But once you wake up and get those powers, the glimmer is removed, and you can see clearly. And there's so many other examples of that. And she said, it's driving around, and once you see it, and once that glimmer comes off, you see the world completely differently. And initially, it can be scary,
Yeah.
but once you've got used to it, which doesn't take very long at all, it's so empowering because everyone who's sort of stuck in this psychosis of the truth of holding on to the latest carrot and the latest Q post and God knows what else, and Trump's coming to all save us. I'm just using him as an example. Once you've dropped that and you have come out of it and you've had a little bit of a laugh at yourself, everything is so much easier. You can get on with business, you can start making good decisions for your life. And you can actually start really enjoying life instead of constantly, like the donkey, chasing that carrot that's been dangled in front of you that you're never going to catch.
Yeah, it's quite sad. As you're saying, I have a lot of empathy. I'm just gonna say a random name, I don't know, but like for the Jackie in Iowa who's just gorging herself on Twinkies, sitting in a dark room, waiting for a med bed to make her skinny again. Like, how depressing is that? Like, life
Yeah,
is meant to be lived, and that was always my problem with the med beds, because that was always where I had a lot of conflict within myself, because we were laughing. Listen, guys, before I hit record, I was like, man, there's still videos on my channel that I'm embarrassed about because of
yeah,
things that but I'm keeping them up because we're human and we're on this journey with you, right? And that's why I wore this shirt today. I was like, I'm not going to let some psychotic, that's where we get the word psychotic from, driven people stop me from wearing clothes or wearing
yeah.
a bracelet my niece made for me. Like, it's not my problem that you need to
Please
be.
don't come on naked.
No,
Please
oh no. Well,
don't.
actually, that might get our numbers up. Just kidding.
I'm not so sure anymore. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not so sure. I
I'm
mean, I used
sorry.
to, I used to at the start wear my tail, and now the bloody furries have ruined it for me because when I was wearing my tail, I did know I wasn't a real monkey. I just found it amusing to see the British not knowing what to do about it. But I think, having a bit for anyone that's I do agree. We're preaching to the converted. I don't think there's going to be anyone watching this that doesn't understand what we're trying to say here. And it's not, sometimes you have to have a little bit of cruelty and hard truth
It's tough
to
love.
wake you up from the psychosis. You really, really do. And sometimes your best friends are the ones that do give you the hard truths. And I do want to pick up and have a bit of discussion with you, Bryce, about this black and white thinking. Because just because we're saying this isn't true, it doesn't mean that that's true. So just because the whole pretext of, say, virology is wrong, doesn't mean that you can't ever catch anything or that you
Right.
can't have gain of function in some other man-made way. That's just an example. So we see this a lot, don't we? That people will say, "Oh, so you're saying that so and so's bad, so that must mean so and so's good." No, no,
No.
no. They can both be bad,
Yeah.
or 50 shades of grey in between.
Right. It's so, and that's what's so wild to me, Catherine, because I feel like when we were kids, that was more understood. That people,
People laughed at you and you took it.
yeah. I said before we got on, I was like, maybe we should bring bullying back a little bit, because you guys
Yes,
said it would help a little bit. But yeah, that's exactly it. And you're so right. When we met, we were in this truther community. That was the one thing I really struggled with inside of me, was all these. There's a saying that if something's sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
yeah,
It probably is. And I knew from all of my background in yoga that friction is necessary and these bodies are necessary and sickness is actually necessary sometimes. To
Yeah.
then have somebody tell me that all that was going to be taken away just by a magical, I think of it as like a magical tanning bed. Like a
Mm,
tube you get in. It's in my head, it's like a tanning bed, zoop, turns on. And I kept thinking, and when people talk about that, I'm like, well, then what's the point of us being here? What's
mm,
the point of us actually being here in a body if all the work is gone? Because that's where we learn things, right? That's where we gain the wisdom. That's where we gain it's so funny. Todd and I have been diving deeper into the law of one, because he's going to
yeah.
be talking a lot more about it on his channel. And we talk a lot about first density, second density, third density. And second density would be like animal life, third density is human life. Well, do you know when animals in the second density start to get ready to graduate to third density, which bless their hearts, we've already apologized to Ravi because they say that their last stop is usually in a human's home
Mm,
because they're learning self-awareness, right? So they're learning like I have a name now. I now, they're not survival as much anymore, right?
yeah.
So we were learning that the chakra system, the seven chakras, that when a first density first transfers into second density, they just have their lower three chakras, just like an organic portal in humans. But then as they come into our human existence, they gain all their seven chakras, right? So Ravi, your animals all have all seven chakras, just like a human. And so they start to take on a more complex personality,
Mm.
right? They're not totally in survival anymore. They start to understand humor. Like Ravi's funny. I'm sure your
Oh
dog
yeah, they're hysterical,
they and
absolutely
they make
hysterical,
you
and
laugh.
they understand everything as well. I mean, I wish someone could follow me around a bit. I could make a fortune on these funny videos with what our animals do if I had someone just to video because I've never got enough pair of hands. But I think that's why it's such a good point that because people think that it's going to be hard coming out of it, and it can be for a little while when you sit there and you think. I really did get fooled by that person, but it's
Join the
just
club.
a learning experience.
Yeah.
Whenever I look at what I ate when I was at, I fuss about what my children eat when they're living away from home. And my husband and I sit there and said, God, look what we ate when we were at university, or look what we ate when I was traveling around the world, or what we gave our first cats when we first had our own proper ones that my mum wasn't responsible for feeding. This is you learn
Learn.
as you go, and there's no shame in that at all. But I think when you've got that little niggling doubt, if you find yourself having to protest too strongly and you're struggling to do so to defend someone, if it doesn't make sense, if you can't clearly say why it makes sense, then it's because it doesn't,
It
and it's
doesn't. And that wisdom, like that, the growing of the chakras, that's why you came here. You came
yeah.
to experience friction so that you also grow, so that you level up, so it's to have that taken away from you is enslavement.
Mm,
And my mother, I've said that before, my mother used to tell us this all the time growing up, that if you allow the government to take care of you, then you allow the government to control you. Because my mother
yeah,
was very much very small government. She always voted for smaller government, smaller taxes, more responsibility on the human, the individual human.
yeah.
And I want to tell the truthers the same thing. Because when you're talking about these med beds, this Nasara, Jasara, how is that any different than communism?
Exactly.
Government control. How is that any different than socialism? How is that any different than Big Brother coming in and giving you life? Why would you want somebody else to provide your magic pill to health when literally you can do that yourself? It just takes
You're,
effort on your part.
yeah, you are your own med bed. Now,
Yeah,
sometimes we're so overwhelmed by all this stuff and trauma of physical, emotional, spiritual that we've collected all this stuff over the years that can take hold. But at the end of the day, it is complete entrapment. It is absolutely entrapment, and I think. There's a reason why our bodies are meant to stress. There's not a single other animal in nature that doesn't have to build their own shelter, search for water, find food, give birth out in I mean, resources, I know there's another whole thing that's going around everywhere that there is no resource shortage. Well, there might not be globally, but there is locally.
Yeah.
You know, people who say that often live in temperate climates where food grows abundantly all year round, but most people and animals don't. You know, in nature, when any species outlives its environment in terms of outgrows its environment in terms of resources, then a whole load of them will die off because the environment can't support them anymore. And that's what keeps balance. And how that's related to the psychosis is when you've got people that are promising you. I mean, honestly, seriously, if we're all going to be given loads of money from Nasara to Sara, where's that money coming from? You know, yes, you get the system is corrupt. We have all been traded, but what's
But the
going to happen
answer,
when everyone gets that? I guarantee all those people that think they're going to be running rescue centres aren't if they're
no,
suddenly multimillionaires. Because if they were really that passionate about doing it, they'd be doing it now.
I did it with no money in India.
Me too. Me too.
Before I was even on YouTube, I saw a
Yeah.
problem and I figured out a way to try to help, to try to crowdsource to get for kids, for dogs. Like I didn't need a promise of Nasara. Well, when that no, I did it by myself as a young girl in my early 30s. I figured it out.
Yeah.
And you're totally right. I mean, they say like I've heard people say, okay, bring in Nasara. I guarantee you a year from now, the people who are poor will be poor again. And the
Oh,
people who
completely.
were
Look
rich
what
will be
happens.
rich again.
It happens all the time because if you're not ready and if you want to do something, you might not. I completely get, you know, most people sitting here watching this won't have the resources to go and set up a child's home or
Yeah.
an animal rescue or whatever, or a farm to grow your own food. You know, you can't, but you can start growing sprouting seeds. You should see my Instagram for the ones I'm growing on my windowsill. You could go and volunteer at your local rescue centre,
Yeah.
even if it's only for 2 hours a week. You can speak to your old neighbour to see if they need their shopping done or their dog walked or whatever. So if people were going to do that, they'd do it now. If they're suddenly given loads of money, they won't be doing all that because human nature, it doesn't work like that. And you're meant to have challenges. You're not meant to be in comfort physically and emotionally and spiritually all the time. It nothing works like that.
No.
There's no, you wouldn't understand the joys and the highs if you didn't have the lows.
No, absolutely, because we're in polarity. My
Mm,
father-in-law, who is in his 80s, he still will go to other neighbors' house and cut their grass.
yeah,
And he's in his 80s, and he'll do that for his neighbors. So that's just him having a good heart. So either you have a good
yeah,
heart or you don't. And I think too, as you're saying that with food, Catherine, I'm like, we have become so dumb as a species that I think people don't even remember that we're supposed to eat seasonally too.
oh, completely. Yeah, I've got a couple of really good talks coming up on that with some
Oh,
amazing.
awesome. Let me know because that's people have forgotten. Like there are
Yeah,
seasons where apples are not in season, where strawberries
exactly.
are not in season. If they're not in season, your body is not supposed to be taking them in during that time. That's part of Ayurveda too.
Yeah,
There's seasonal eating. Our ancestors knew this because they had to know this. They couldn't preserve foods like we do with chemicals and I just think, one thing I wanted to share here quickly when it comes to AI psychosis, which I think there's commonality. The messianic mission, people believe they have uncovered truth about the world, grandiose delusions. Now, we do know, oh, my computer keeps doing this. We do know, sorry, that was me doing research. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. We do know that that the world isn't what we think it is.
yeah,
Absolutely. But we have people with grandiose delusions about the white hats,
yeah,
about the fact I still can't believe that there are people who actually believe Americans, I'm going to say even more so because you Americans should know your Constitution that JD Vance is John F. Kennedy Jr. in a mask. That is treason.
but how many people have we had before JD Vance? Who else was it that they as JFK? I mean, we've had this with so many people. Again, there's a lot of and oh,
Well,
I
the
don't.
next one, godlike AI. People believe their AI chatbot is a sentient deity.
Yeah,
Let's take A out of this. How many people in these grandiose illusions think JD Vance is John F. Kennedy Jr., some sentient deity come to save us? How many people believe that Trump is of the Christ bloodline and therefore he's going to save us? And that's all negative because there's no pecking order and the
yeah,
positive. So, what are you talking about? What the hell are you? How many people believe, Catherine, that all of these like channelers in the truther community are some sentient being here to give us the truth when literally nothing they've ever told you has come true? No
Nothing. I
dark
mean,
has come true.
I challenge people now to go through and put in the comments here. You don't need to name it. Put something that they've said that has actually come true. Go on, put it.
Nothing has
How
come true.
many? And the thing is, again, I'm back again. If you're that good a channeler, it would show in your life.
Yeah.
Just going to put it like that. It would show in your life. It's like that everyone who's in the health food is you can walk around an airport or any city and you can tell the people that exercise, you can tell the people that eat clean. You can now there's a little bit of a leeway there because people that are really young can get away with murder. We all know that when you're really young, you could eat McDonald's all day and still look like a supermodel.
Yeah.
But and I'm not just talking about weight, I'm talking about skin, hair shine, etc. So we do know when we look at people, and it's nothing about whether they're good looking or not, being judgmental. It's like, is there a mismatch here between what they're telling me and what I'm picking up? And you can have a healthy awakening where we don't want anyone, any of us included, to stop questioning the narratives.
No,
That's why we
never.
went so long. We want to question the narratives in a nice, polite, but grounding, discerning way where we're open to not having the answers. Just because we don't know what the answer is, just because we don't know whether the world's a globe doesn't mean it's flat. That's
Exactly.
an example.
Exactly.
That might be, I'm
Exactly.
not saying it's not, but it's not either, oh, it's a globe or it's flat. There's millions of options in between. And a healthy awakening is you can consume stuff but if you're unhealthy, if you're not critically consuming, looking at what you're consuming, so you should be looking at everything with, like, I agree with that, I don't agree with that. If you're just attached to the person that's doing it, just because you don't believe with on my food choices, how I choose to eat, doesn't mean that you don't take advice on whether to vaccinate your dog or not. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
You should separate for the discussion point from the person. Anytime you believe everything that person says or nothing that person says, then that's a clear sign of psychosis and delusional thinking as well.
I mean, look at you and I, Catherine, are huge fans of Candace Owens. Huge fans of her. But there's some things that I don't agree with her. I
Oh,
don't
completely.
I don't have
Yeah.
religious beliefs, but I'm still a huge fan of hers and I'm grateful for what she's done because that's the nuance, right? That's the nuance of being human. And I mean, I'm laughing at this one, Catherine, because I think according to what I watched this morning, you and I were supposed to do this when we first opened our channels.
Yeah.
To create the illusion of a romantic possibility. But here we are, like my husband and my boyfriend. So, but how many people have, I've never,
Oh,
I'm going to be trying to be as nice as possible in saying this. There's not many men in the truther community. Some of them are okay looking, some of them are kind of frumpy. How many women are absolutely in love with these men? And they have these ideas of like who these men are in the truther community because they have
absolutely.
this grandiose illusion. I laugh so hard. So before my boyfriend decided to go public and he created his own channel called The Confused Wanderer, I'll put that down below, guys, where he's going to be getting into a lot of Law of One stuff. He came on my channel as Mr. Fox. That was Mr. Fox. And I just said it was someone I know very well, blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, there were all these people thinking because he knew so much about the Law of One that he was a Mason. He's not a Mason. I kept saying, no, trust me. They're like, well, how do you know? He's just your friend. I'm like, I sleep beside him every night. Dude's not a Freemason. He's not a Freemason. Um, but then I would laugh because, and I don't mean to embarrass anyone if you were one of these women, I would get emails. They didn't see his face. They didn't know who he was. They just heard his voice of women who were wondering if he was available and single. And all I would write back is he has a family. I would just say he has a family. That's all I would say. I didn't say that was me, because he wanted to keep his identity private at that point. So I had to respect that. But just from hearing him do one show with me in conversation only, these women would get this idea in their head of who he was, this fantasy.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like radio voices, right? Like, have you ever listened to like a podcast or a radio show where you never saw what the person looked like, but you had this idea in your head of what they looked like, and then you saw their picture and it was nothing that you thought they looked like, and you
Oh,
almost wish you never.
completely, absolutely. It's hysterical. It really is. Um, so I just think with this, I think it's really important we have these conversations with people. Just like during the pandemic, we had conversations with people that still need to go on. Just like you can agree that if someone's from a war-torn country and they're escaping persecution, that they should be allowed to come into your country, but you can disagree with mass uncontrolled illegal immigration. You know,
Right.
you can do both of those things as a rational human being, and you can have a healthy awakening where you question the narratives politely, not salt it. If you have to resort to shouting insults, then you're defending yourself. You're not sure about your belief system. So take a quiet moment and think about them. But you can question politely, healthily, critically, without becoming trapped in the fear or the fanatical thinking. And you do not have to believe just because you like us with Candace Owens. You can love some bits you can say, you cannot agree with other things to say. It would be creepy if you agreed with absolutely everything. It would be really creepy, quite frankly. But if you're literally consuming everything, not sitting there. If you're watching someone who's predicting things, for example, or telling you this is going to happen or this happens, well, critically ask the questions. You know, ask the questions to yourself in the comments, however way you can. Think, well, what have you got to back this up? Is this what I'm seeing in my reality? Is my actual real world experience backing this up, or is it just completely the opposite?
And also, I will add to that, if someone tells you if their defense is to trust the plan, not
Oh,
only are you in psychosis, but you're in a cult.
yeah,
You are not a child. You don't need to be. That's patronize. I find that so patronizing, Catherine. We're like, we'll trust the plan. What plan?
yeah.
This is
Who's
my
bad?
life.
Yeah,
Why are you saying that somebody has dominance over my life and I can't know about it?
yeah.
That's bullshit. That's just like the other side saying trust the science, which we knew.
Yeah,
So, like, you have the right to say what plan? What are you talking about? Here's the thing, you guys. Like when you are in a monogamous relationship, I'm going to use this as an example, as Catherine and I are in, as a lot of people are in. I trust my partner. I trust Todd. I know he's not going to cheat on me. I mean, dude is like, he bird watches. Like, like I don't have to worry. We're old. Like I don't have to worry about him being wild but if something were to start to happen where I was suspecting it, my trust would not be trust anymore because I would be
yeah.
suspicious. And if I found out that there was something going on, then the ball would be in my court whether I stayed or left. But there wouldn't
Mm,
be trust anymore.
mm,
So the same thing with trusting the plan. You have seen so many countless times where there's suspicious behavior going on where the plan is not being faithful to you, whatever plan you think that is. How many people
yeah.
have to promise you the med bed's coming tomorrow while you're just getting fatter and fatter and fatter and sicker and sicker and sicker? How many people have told you, no, sorry, it's coming tomorrow. Don't pay your credit card bills. It's fine. And you're
Mm.
going more and more and more into debt. At what point, comparing this to cheating, is the plan not worthy of being trusted anymore? Right? Does that make sense, Catherine, how I'm saying that?
It
Like, at what
makes
point?
complete sense. And I would just add to that as well that the big they can have been stealing all our money, but you're still going to get into trouble if you, yeah,
Yeah,
they might have been doing that. But if you stop paying your bills, if you start doing this, just because it's not fair doesn't mean it's going to go in your favor. I mean, try being one of Hillary's staff.
exactly.
But, I joke.
Listen,
That just because it's against the law doesn't stop anyone or anything. So use your common sense. Look at what you think you can and can't deal with. Just because, I mean, we've had big issues here with people saying stop paying your bills and everything, stop paying your water. Just because they're ripping us off doing it and we shouldn't be, doesn't mean you're not going to get in a lot of trouble and lose your house if you don't know how to play the legal system properly. So it would be different for everyone, and take on the battles that you can take on and don't take on the battles that you can't, because just because you've got some person shouting to get you to do things from on screen or from the sideline, you're still going to be the one that bears the brunt of it if it goes horribly wrong. And I'm
absolutely.
so sad to see how many people haven't been working for years because they think this money's coming, haven't been dealing with their health for years because they think the med beds are coming, haven't been standing up and protesting or whatever they want to do, or talking about the control grid going in, the digital control grid, because they think that no, 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 don't worry, it's all under control, we're winning. And you're like, my God.
What point do you think we're winning? Show me the evidence that we're winning. And the
Yeah,
way I see the world is the bad guys are still in charge. That's how I see
yeah.
the world right now. And actually, that's what the Cassiopeans say too. What's happening now is there's more of an even playing field, but the ball's still in their court, you guys. And how brilliant of them, Catherine, how brilliant of them to convince a
Absolutely
huge
brilliant.
population that they were all arrested and gone. How brilliant of them to put a huge population of the world into psychosis. Into, I think, and I know this is not who we're talking to now, our audience, but I think I can think of a lot of truthers that at this point I definitely think need to be institutionalized because they've
Oh,
gone so far that they need intervention from a mental
and I
mental
think it's
institution.
really worse than that, because I think when people realize that there some, so even some of the people speaking out publicly, some are under psychosis themselves, but a lot are deliberately deceiving you and taking the ill-gotten gains exactly about the systems you've been fighting against. And
A lot of
please,
the truthers,
please,
guys.
everyone,
How
yeah,
many truthers? Catherine, I know these people, guys. How many of them are telling you not to pay your credit card bills, but they're paying theirs?
yeah, absolutely. I
So
think, this is the thing, is there's never any shame in realizing. There's no, well, every single one of us, how do you learn about how not to drink too much alcohol? You drink too much, you think, I don't like that, I'm not doing that again. So that's what life's about. Don't feel shame about it, but question nicely. Don't get abusive for people that are trying to say, hello, there's a
down to
rock
earth,
here. I'm
back
on the
to earth.
lighthouse. Look, there's a rock. Don't go into the rock. And if you're going to shout down those, you're like, oh,
You're
you
going
know,
off a cliff, my friend. You're going off a cliff.
yeah,
They said when your mother used to say, if your friends jumped off a cliff, would you? Same thing.
yeah.
These truthers told you to jump off a cliff. Would you do it because you're trusting the plan?
And you can
It's
guarantee they'll be right behind you.
Yeah. It's and I from and sadly, Catherine, most of these people know exactly what they're doing. They know they're lying to you.
Absolutely. What they'll say is, let me hold your wallet whilst you go and jump off the cliff.
Exactly right. They're lying.
So,
They're grifting. This is a grifting. Catherine and I, speaking of, I'm going to show the Fusion Body Studio before we leave. Catherine and I, you and I have been accused of drifting for literally talking about what we do for a living. We don't make any money on YouTube, guys. Trust me, we make no
no,
money on YouTube. This is all, but we have other jobs. I'm the only female in the state of Georgia to be authorized by Cape. I spent a lot of time working on this, and that's true what you're saying, Catherine. Like I am harder on my physical fitness than I am on my students because I take that responsibility. If I'm going
yeah,
to train you, if I'm going to help you physically, then I need to make sure that I am doing 10 times more than you are. I need to walk that walk if I'm going to ask you to walk it. And absolutely, I would never go. People get mad at me when I say that I would never go to a healer or a teacher that was overweight. Why would I? Because if they can't take care of themselves, how are they going to help me? So I take that seriously with myself. So
yeah,
with that being said, you guys, what was the Esoteric Academy is now Fusion Body Studio. We changed the name.
love it.
We gave her a facelift because we realized not a lot of people knew what this was, and we really want to help people because if you work your body, if you want to wake up, your body and your mind, in yoga philosophy, the body is the mind field. Our thoughts resonate into our body. That's why we get tension. And so if you're having a hard time healing your mind, sometimes the best way to heal your mind is to change your body. Start
I
exercising because that will change the patterning in your brain. So,
It's
Catherine,
absolutely brilliant. And what I would say to people is there is literally something, and I'm not saying this because Bryce has asked me, because I've done a lot of your content. And the thing is, there is literally something for every level. And you're not meant to go into these classes and be able to do it perfectly. If you are, you're probably an instructor yourself.
right.
So the whole point is it's in the privacy of your own home. You've got a really supportive community. You can go on lives and ask questions and everything, and there is literally something for everyone. And I think when you just take that first step, just take the first step to do something differently, because as you start to feel a little bit stronger, a little bit fitter, a little bit clearer, then a lot of this will make sense and it
Yeah.
won't be so traumatic for you.
And you'll take your power back. You won't put up with the bullshit of being lied to.
Yeah,
Well, and that's what we are, guys. And we have for those who are new, who are brand new to working out, we have a whole getting started guide with a 30-day beginner's guide, all sorts of stuff. We've just created a weight loss section. Now, these are pre-recorded exercise videos that are good for weight loss for people to help. So we put that together with an Ayurvedic diet book to help you understand food from a different perspective. Paul and I, neither one of us really believe in diets per se. We think you just need to learn how
yeah,
to nourish your body properly. A lot of times when people learn how to nourish their body properly, the weight will just come off and they deal with their own traumas. The weight will just come off anyway, naturally. But, and we have the times here. We even, funny story, Catherine. So the cardio dance classes, just for you guys, we're doing these themed now. These are going to be themed and they're supposed to be fun and they're supposed to be something you can do with your kids too.
yeah.
So, no equipment's necessary. So we're doing themes. Well, I am not, Catherine, I do not like country music. I'm not a country music fan, but I had to make it country music. So it took me a long time to to sift through all the songs. I finally found songs. I had to listen to them over and over and over again so I could get the beat to choreograph it because I wasn't familiar. Most of these songs are age appropriate except for one song, but the song I don't think the young kids will understand it. It's Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
Oh.
I
Oh,
have had
God,
that
that's
song
good.
in my head, and I've been like in the grocery store, save a horse, right? Like,
Yeah. It's absolutely hysterical. And don't let the times put you off. Don't let any of this be an excuse. So if you're looking at the 25 one and you've only got 10 minutes, just do
just
10
do 10
minutes.
minutes. Yeah, just do 10 minutes. And we're
Yeah,
doing it, I'm going to start doing shorter form ones for the dance cardio so you can mix and match as well. We've
yeah,
got the big ones like the 90 and 75. We changed the font to people because that's for people who can really handle that long. The live classes, and that's the first tier. So that's 25 a month, which is literally less than a drop in. I mean, that is
yeah,
less than a drop in. That's like what, like 20 pounds a month. And that's so, then we have the workshops. The full price is 40 if you want the workshops too, which has a bunch of different conversations around spirituality and the body. We have a 10-day shadow work challenge. It's on the homepage. That's actually free. So if you guys want to do the 10-day shadow work challenge, and so that's 40 a month, 25 for tier one, 40 for everything. And Catherine, you have a code, I believe. I know I have it in my files. Do you remember your code, Catherine? Is it Catherine 20 or Catherine 5?
I can't
Catherine
remember. We'll
something.
have to put it in the link below.
I will put it in the link below. We've had a lot of people use your code and we love it. And so it gives you
Please do, because you really support both of us by doing that. So, yeah,
yes.
thank you so
And
much. It
so
makes a difference.
it gives you on top of the already low prices, you get 20% off for 6 months of your tuition with Catherine's code.
Yeah.
So, and Catherine, do you want to talk about any of your stuff before if for help people get their life
Well,
back?
we'll do that, Sinton. On when you go to my website, which is catherineedwards.life, you will see all the links to all my social media, my free content, my academy, my consults, the products that I recommend, the products I only endorse, products that I personally use and know the owners of and everything. So, that's great ways that you can support this information getting out for free, but also it's a win-win because you're going to get loads of benefits for you and your animals in the process. So
I'm trying to, is it down right now or did I type it in wrong? CatherineEdwards.life, correct?
catherineedwards.life.
Okay, here we go. Maybe that one.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
up.
there we go. I just typed it in wrong. Now it's
It's
being
because a lot of people put live instead of life at the end. It's Life. Yeah.
Let me go. Here we go. So guys, I'm gonna have Catherine's stuff down in the description box below. This is a great way because the thing too, guys, and I say this a lot, and Catherine, I think you and I at heart are really kind of teachers, but it's
Yeah.
because we're really passionate about, and it complements each other, right? What we do complements each other. I always tell people all the time, a cult leader's job is to keep you always needing them. A teacher's job is to eventually not have a job. Like that's kind of what, we teach ourselves out of a job because we want you to take your power back. If we all just, if you want to change the world, I mean, literally not to quote Michael Jackson or anything, which Catherine, I heard Michael Jackson is actually Trump in a mask. No, guys, he's not. It's a joke.
Exactly.
Man in the mirror, if you want to change the world, change yourself. No one's coming to save you. And I've said this before, Catherine, it's your privilege that no one is coming to save you. You're not a delinquent. You're a fractal of God. All these people talk about, Catherine, how they believe in God, and yet they want the med bed. Well, if you believe in God, don't you believe that He gave you a body that's able to heal itself if you put the effort into it to heal itself? Like,
Completely. And don't forget your animals as well. And I
yeah,
think, this is the thing. I think everyone needs to take that time out of their week and sort of just reassess where they're at, what's going on, and okay, what's working for me. And if things working out brilliant for you, don't change.
yeah,
Keep going. But if it's not, and most of us have got at least one area of our lives where we need to upgrade, then just sit there and think, okay, where do I need to sort of course correct? Who have I been listening to that might not be serving me? How am I feeling after this? Has anything changed? Has anything come true? Okay, why don't I just get on and start living a lovely life?
yeah. I think the biggest thing, just ask yourself. I think we have to ask ourselves every now and then, am I the problem? Am I
Yeah,
in psychosis?
I think that's so true.
Yeah, and that's kind of fun to do because then when you start to change, you notice those changes. And so, and yeah, just because somebody like Catherine and I are giving you tough love doesn't mean that we don't care. If we didn't care, we would be
Mm,
grifting with the rest of them.
completely. And we would be millionaires by now.
Exactly. We would be on those yachts in the middle of the,
Yeah.
so, and I will say too, if you guys have any questions you want us to answer, if for some reason you sat through this and you're realizing, because I know most of our people were preaching to the choir, but if you have any questions, just ask us about fitness or health or anything you want us to
Mm.
talk about in our videos, we will. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you, Catherine,
That was fun. Yeah, I think it needed discussion and good fun and take it in the light-hearted way it's meant to. And we will be back next week.
on Catherine's channel. All right.
Thanks
Bye,
again.
everybody.
Bye.